Okay, so here's how I do the throttle cut on Jeti. So we're going to go into the menu, go down to fine tuning, go to digital trim. And in here, you can see that that last line is blank. There's 3 little dots. It's kind of hard to see. That was my throttle trim. And what I like to do is, once I've cross-trimmed the radio, I go back into the digital trim and I deactivate throttle. Now you can use that for nose wheel steering or some other function. You'll notice on this model I don't have a rudder trim. I typically don't use rudder trim on jets. I mechanically trim them. So once I've deactivated the throttle, then I will go into the second page, and the 2 columns that say rate, a lot of times I will deactivate those by just running that value down. Oops. Let me go back here, guys. Running that value down to 0. And going over to the other column and running that down to 0. This way, the trim is totally inactive. But as long as you've killed it over here in this left-hand column, where you got the 3 little dots, okay, I'm going to go back to the first page, and normally what you do is you'd be here, and you can see there's the throttle, and you can see those 3 little dots. So that totally kills the throttle, okay? Now, we're going to say okay to this. Now, the next step, guys, say okay, get out of this menu. The next step is I'm going to go back here to Advanced Properties, and we're going to go to Other Model Options. Okay, now, moving down here, you can see the throttle cut line. And right there, we see switch SB and the throttle output value of -100. Now, SB on my radio is a 2-position locking switch, and I'm going to pull it. I'm going to pull that switch to me. Okay, so it is throttle cut now when you see the check mark. When I move it away from me, the engine is in the ready run position. So, how do we get there? So we go down to the throttle idle. And once again, it's SB. And the switch is away from me, which is my ready, is the run position. And I'm going to pull the switch to me, which makes the throttle cut side. You can see here the throttle cut is the active side now. And throttle idle is inactive. You can see the X over there. And I'm going to move the switch away from me, which is the way I like to have it, so my fingers can rest on top. And you can see the throttle cut goes inactive with the X, and it's now active with the 40%. So in case you're wondering, 40% represents a pulse width output, and I'll show you that next. I'm going to say okay to this, and the way I set that is, you'll see right there above function button 2 is our servo monitor. So I'm going to press that, and I'm going to go to the F3, which is the center button, and I'm going to press it 2 more times, and it's going to show us the pulse width output. So what are we looking for here? So currently, let me see which one I have that on. I forget which model I have. Hold on a second, guys. Okay. So channel 7, or receiver output 7. So I'm going to move that, and you can see that it's moved to 1 millisecond, 1,000 milliseconds, whatever. Anyways, so by changing that 40% line, changes that value, and each motor has a different value that it likes to be in the off position, And I'm gonna move the throttle cut switch to the run position. You can see it moves to 1200. And when I move the throttle up, you'll see it moves up to 2000. And that'll start the motor and I pull it back, okay? So that's how I go about doing that. Now, if I go back to the other servo monitor value and, okay, channel 7, you can see it's at minus 100. I move it to the run position, it's minus 60 because if you remember in the run position it said 40. I go all the way up. You can see that channel 7 moves up to 100%. And then the last thing you need to do, which I can't do because I don't have a radio system active, is you go into your device explorer and in there you set your failsafe and you want to run it to a value that it would be outside of minus 100. That way the engine will quit should you have a failsafe. Hopefully that explains it, makes it really simple. And if you have any questions, shoot me a text or give me a call.